So, obviously, my name is Victory Uchenna. I'm a solutions architect working at AWS. I've been at AWS for the past 2 years and 3 months now, or 4 months. And yeah, there's so much more to what I do. I guess we're gonna get into that later on the show, but I'm very happy to be here. I met Ashish from Restart, which is like a boot camp program that AWS runs, and I remember he supported me so much during my mock interviews, and so that's kind of how the connection started. I'm really grateful to be on here and kind of paying it forward. And I hope that this is valuable. I hope my story is valuable to people that are listening today.
It would be. Such an inspiring story, Victory. And I was talking to BESUP members initially in the core group that, hey, we want to bring Victory to this. And then I shared story and they were say, yes, we want to hear about it. So yeah,
Oh,
good. Thank you.
that's amazing.
So I'll quickly get started with some basic stuff. How was your schooling or college? If you could brief us, were you very bright-minded or chaotic or how it was?
Yeah, I think is I've been talking about this recently with a lot of my friends that I went to school with, and my friends. So in my perspective, I thought that I wasn't so smart in school. I think I'm not very like I wasn't really a good judge of myself. Everyone around me thought I was smart, but I just never really thought that I was smart because I struggled a lot with reading because I didn't know I had dyslexia. But it was later on in my life, in my adult life, that I realized the reason why I struggled with reading in front of people and maths was due to dyslexia. So to me, I just put it down as like I'm just really not that bright. But the people around me, my teachers, were, they could see the intelligence in me. I just didn't internalize it because I kind of was um, I just didn't really like how what was going on in my brain. I just thought I don't really understand certain things. What's wrong with me? I'm clearly just not so bright. But I'm grateful for the people around me that saw that. And so yeah, I hope that answers your question. Was it were you asking more around like what where in school I got to? Kind of did I go to uni? Is that kind of the kind of questions
No,
you're
that's fine. Means yeah,
interested
we
to know?
we, we sometimes like some people like some of us may be having a very bright schooling. Some of people like us may have different way of schooling, and maybe like I was good till a point, and afterward I was the baddest student in my class. So yeah, those transition happen. So yeah,
Yeah.
let's go. Yeah.
And I think for me as well, so when I was in during so I came to the UK when I wasn't actually born here. So I came from Nigeria. I was born in Nigeria and I came here just before high school. And due to the fact that due to that transition, I was placed in like kind of the lower sets. So I kind of had to work my way up to the higher sets, and I really struggled the first few years in high school, and I think I started to really like pick up. I started to really become. I guess my grades got better in from later years. Like I guess like from like year 10 to college. So when I got to college, I got A stars, thinking, how the hell did I get A stars when I really struggled in the beginning of school? I was kind of shocked that I was getting kind of C's and D's, and all of a sudden now I'm getting A's. So I think I've always been quite bright, but not really. I think it took me a while to discover myself.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. And like how IT came into your way of working, or how you got fascinated to technology or computer? What was that moment?
Yeah, I think the thing is, I've always been quite curious about. I'm a very curious person, and I've always been quite curious about how things worked. And I think my first interaction with tech was during college. So I took IT in college, and as a topic, and I had a friend who was like he had this like trick with like coding and on the command line, and he would do some really cool things on the terminal, and I would just be like, "That's so amazing! That's so fascinating! Can you teach me about it?" And so we'd spend ages together just learning about technology, learning about coding, learning about. I think my first language is Python. It was heavily influenced by him. Um, and then yeah, I think I just started learning about that and just kind of fell in love with it. And I think I remember the first time I kind of dabbled into code. It was when I went to a summer school after college, and I was actually supposed to be enrolling in in a psychology class. And the psychology class was filled up, so they put me in cloud computing, and then we had to build something in Python, and I really really enjoyed it. And the teacher was like, "You should probably go into this. You obviously seem like someone who enjoys coding, so I think you should try it." And I did. I started learning about who created Python programming, and I found out he worked at Google, and I found out so much things about him. I followed him on Twitter, and I just got myself really really immersed in it. And then I built my first calculator with Python. I put it on GitHub and told all my
Nice.
friends. I said, go and check this out. It's amazing. I built this on my own, and from there it just kind of went on and on. And I picked up other languages and just continued learning. I think my fascination for learning to code has never really stopped. Obviously, being a solutions architect, things have changed now because I'm no longer coding as much. But that is always going to be my first love, and I hope to get back to there, hopefully at some point.
Yeah, why not? And so once you passed college, how was your career? Like you directly went into a job or you looked into a different stream? How that transition happened?
Funny enough, this is, I think I've not really ever been fully honest about like how I transitioned into tech, because there's a lot of personal things that also kind of comes into it. But after college, I knew that I wanted to go into technology. I knew that in my head, the next step really was to do computer science in university. So I'd fallen in love already with tech. I was already building websites. I was doing freelance web design. I just knew that it was something I wanted to pursue. However, there was something that happened in my personal life, which meant that I couldn't go on to university, which really broke my heart. And I just felt that, okay, there's really nothing I can do now. Like I feel like I'm missing out on being who I want to become. I had this vision of who I wanted to become in my head, and I'm no longer going to be able to do it because I'm not able to go into university and pursue my career. And so the only thing left to do was just to learn and just use YouTube and to use free resources online. And I'm really thankful for Free Code Camp, because that at that point Free Code Camp had just started making they had a YouTube. They started creating content, and I just used it. It was free and it was amazing. And I would just follow these people on Twitter and just follow them around and listen to everything they say. So I just started doing that and just hoping for an opportunity to get into tech. I knew that obviously having a degree might hinder me, but I just thought to myself, I'm going to give it a go anyway and build my skills. If an employer sees me and deems me worthy to be employed as a developer or anything in technology, I'll be happy to take it on. And that's what I kept doing. And then I stumbled across Restart, which was incredible. And that's where I met you and met other people as well, other people that are still in my network. And Restart, basically, it's for 13 weeks, and it's a program that takes you from zero to hero on cloud computing. You get to learn about AWS, you get to learn about different AWS services, you get to learn about well architected framework, you get to learn about a lot of things and how to apply these things in the real world. And then after that, you are presented to employers that will take you on as an entry level cloud engineer or DevOps or anything of that sort. And I felt, to me, that was the first that was my first time kind of, I guess that was the my first time I felt like I was recognized as a technology person, if that makes sense. That was the first kind of opener or initiator into like my tech career. So yeah, that's it really.
That's good. Rest is history, isn't it? Yeah, so I want to know a little bit more on Restart because you've been graduated from that. So how is the selection process? What we need to get into Restart, or who is eligible for Restart?
So restart, it's usually for young people who are unemployed between the ages of, I think, 18 to 30. It might have, the requirements might have changed now, but you have to be someone who is doing something in technology, someone who has a clear passion for tech. So for myself, I already had like a GitHub repository with all of my coding resources, all of my trainings. I used to use this app that I've forgotten about now, but it's like it's called, I think it's called HackerRank. Some of you might know it, but it just basically gives you challenges, coding challenges that you have to solve. Some of them are hard, some are easy, and it just allows you to build your knowledge on programming. And so I just use that to build my GitHub repository, my GitHub account. And so I was doing a lot of things, especially, and also at the same time, I was also building websites for local businesses in my area. So I was saying that to say that you need to have a strong desire, a strong passion, a visible passion for technology in order to be considered into this program. And so when you apply, there's a series of interviews and a series of kind of technical based questions to gauge your kind of understanding. And then once that's done, once you get into if you get into Restart, then starts the learning of cloud computing. I think in the beginning you do get like an overview of what technology means, what does the internet, like what is the internet, just kind of an overview to kind of make sure everybody's on the same page. And then you go along to learn about cloud computing and AWS. And then after that, after the course, you should be ready to do your cloud practitioner exam, AWS cloud practitioner exam, which most of us did. And then after that, you get employed. Some people, unfortunately, like myself, didn't. I had to go through another route to get my first employment, which was as a DevOps consultant with a QA. But most times you are placed with you're placed with what do they call it again? Employers, and then when they pick you up, they train you, and then you kind of like that kind of starts your career in technology.
Is it a full-time program?
Yes, it is. It's you can't, well, that back then, I'm not sure about now. You It's immersive. It's 13 weeks of every single day. You're there every day, Monday to Friday. So it is full time. But I'm not. I think hopefully, I think there might be like a option for part time. If there is, I think that would be great because a lot of people I know would love
Yeah,
to
exactly.
would love to do that whilst also working and stuff. But yeah, it is full time.
And to confirm, it is a free program, right? You do not pay anything to go in that.
Yeah, it's a totally free program. And I think one other thing I wanted to mention as well is the great thing about Restart is that you're not just learning, you get the opportunity to meet with people who are already in the field, which is where I met
Exactly.
you, right? And I think I had never had like a training like that because typically, for me anyway, I just learn online. But being there in the office and like just seeing real world, like seeing people doing the things you want to do really motivated me and motivated all of us. You get to hear from people, from principal solutions architects that tell you about their journey into tech, tell you about their day to day as a solutions architect. It's just really inspiring. So that's one of the great things, the great benefits of doing a program like this, because you are face to face with people that are already doing things you want to do, and you get to learn from them and ask them questions, and yeah, it's just amazing.
Nice. Now, I could see there was a conscious effort from you to build network. Like you reached out to, did mock interview for let's say 10 people, right? But only you reached out to me when it was a need. So what was the drive in you to build your network, or how did you build your network?
I think the reason why there was such a drive for me to reach out to you was because I already felt like I had a disadvantage because I didn't. Most people in my cohort had already kind of had a degree, and back then there was still maybe there was a bit of a stigma around people that hadn't they didn't have a higher education, and so I felt like I didn't have an edge, and so I felt like I had to people that had made an impact in my life, I wanted to keep them close. So I remember after meeting you, I followed you straight away on LinkedIn and was waiting for the right opportunity to reach out to you. So it wasn't just yourself that I reached out to.
Yeah, I agree.
I reached out to so many people because I felt that this could be my only way to actually
Hmm.
get my foot in the door. And thankfully that's what happened.
It worked,
That's
isn't
what
it? Yeah.
so I think I guess there isn't really a strategy to building network. I think for me anyway, for me there wasn't really a strategy for building a network. What I will say is those people that make an impact in your life, just try to keep in touch with them. There are, there's so much you can learn from people. There's so much you can learn from their experiences, and just having them around to just watch what they're doing and to follow their steps, it's just amazing because you can't even imagine how much you will grow. Like, I remember sometimes I'll be on LinkedIn and I'll see a post that you've made about a new AWS service. I would straight away go and check it out because I believe in your expertise, and I trusted that whatever you're posting, or whatever it is that you're doing, would be of use to me. So, I guess what I would say is reach out to people on LinkedIn. Always, whoever you get to speak to face to face, ask them for their LinkedIn, follow them, and just try to keep in touch. Make sure that you're in touch with them and show them that you're willing to learn from them. People are always happy to help. So, you know,
Exactly.
yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So I want to talk a little bit on your career journey. So you completed Restart. What happened afterwards?
So I completed Restart. And unfortunately, again, I mentioned during just after college why I couldn't go to university because due to some personal issues.
I want to
So,
clarify one thing here. For some
yeah.
people, like in India, college and universities are considered same. So I want to
Oh,
clarify. College here in UK is like in India we call it like a high school, 11 to 12th classes, and then university is considered what we call graduates in India. So yeah, that's what. So university and college seem similar in India, but they are different here in
okay.
UK.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that. I think that's the same. It's kind of similar with the US as well, because when you say college, they think it's university, but it's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, with the when I couldn't go, like I said, college after college, couldn't go on to do a degree in university. Um, and so after I did restart, that I had, the same personal issue came up again, which was really a shame because I could tell that the organizers from Restart really wanted to push me on to an employer. I had already done a few interviews with an employer, but unfortunately I couldn't go on to work. Um, and so again, I went right back to having to rely on my own self learning, having to rely on just building my skills, learning to code, building websites, just making sure that I am around people that are technologists and just learning from them. Um, Thankfully, after a year after that, the issue was sorted, which meant that I could go into employment, and I got my first job as a cloud and DevOps consultant, and right after that, I remember, I think a year into that, I got an email, a LinkedIn message from a recruiter from AWS saying that if I would consider to work as a solutions architect. And if I'm completely honest, I thought it was a hoax. I didn't think it was real. I had to get my friends to check it out and say, can you please search this lady's name and make sure she's not like a bot, like make
Yeah, yeah.
sure she's a real person, because I couldn't believe that I had done restart, things just didn't work out for me. I had it just felt like it wasn't happening, it wasn't real. And mind you, I said to myself that I wanted to be a solutions architect in the next 10 years because I thought it was just so unattainable. But I met that within a few years in my career. So you can imagine
Wow.
it just felt like it was not happening. So I did my interview, did my loops. Oh, my loop was, yeah, I did one loop actually, not two, but
Can
I
you
did an
elaborate
initial
it, like
interview
how
first.
the first interview was? You were given some assignment, I guess, right? So what was the
Yes,
process?
so I was given an
So
assignment.
first was technical interview, you cleared
Yeah.
it, and then was assignment.
No, first was just like an interview just to get to learn about me a little bit.
Okay.
Um, and with I think it was with the recruiter and another solutions architect. And that went well and I passed that. And then I got a technical assignment, which I struggled with a little bit. And that's when I reached out to you. I knew what was, I think the assignment was it was an S3 bucket. Um, and it was no, I've forgotten now, but it was like there was a few assignments. One of them was a nursery bucket that was not public, so you had to figure out why you're not able to see the static site and figure out like how to solve that problem. And there was
Hmm.
also like a design, like a three-tier design that you were asked to kind of make serverless, and you're also asked a few other questions which some of them I did easily, and some of them requires, like, I just needed like a technical person to help, just to help me understand what the question was. And that was when I reached out to you, and you were of great help to me.
No, come on. Means you were such a bright person. Means I was sure you would crack that interview. So yeah, that was good. But yeah, so
Yeah.
so that interview was like then you did a presentation of that solution to a panel. Is it like that?
Yeah, so I did a presentation to actually, it was a phone screen, an hour phone screen with a principal essay. And I think it went so well. It ended up just being a conversation. And so I was thinking, is it supposed to go this way? Because when you search on Google about like AWS phone screen, it's a bit daunting, like the way people talk about it, how vigorous and how like hard it can be. So I was expecting it to really be really tricky and hard to crack, and um, just very difficult. But it was like a conversation. He asked questions about how I solved the issue. He asked some other technical questions, such as like, like um, just typical technical questions. Like if you were to search a website, a domain, what happens? Just talk about like what actually happens behind the screen, things like that. So and we just had a discussion, and I asked him one question which I don't remember. I think it was about security. It was a question around what is um, I guess, what is the middle ground between operability and security? Because obviously you want to secure things, but you can't secure it too much where it's not usable. And he remembered that, and I think that kind of, he said, no one's asked me that question, and I'm really taken aback, and I really like the question you've asked. And then it ended up being a conversation about security and all that stuff. And at the end, I thought I probably might have. I think I've gotten through.
You
I
could
think,
sense it.
yeah, I had a sense that, okay, I think I'm gonna go through. And I got an email saying, yeah, you've gone through to your loop. And I thought, wow, this is all happening too fast. And yeah, I had to ask my friends again to like, please make sure this is real life and I'm not dreaming.
You need a pinch, isn't it? Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
co-weighted thing. Loop interviews are, in a way, people consider them nasty. I don't call it that way. They are intriguing. They give you into the depth. They explore all the aspect of your personality, technical knowledge, behavioral skills. So that is interesting.
Hmm.
Was it a job offer just after that, or was there a struggle between?
So, just after my phone screen, I did the loop, and the loop was had nothing to do with the um um with these assessment that they gave to me. It was just about understanding if I was a good fit, going through the leadership principles, explaining kind of, I'm sure most of you who might be watching this might know about the leadership principle, but essentially there are, I think, 16 now, 16 leadership principles.
Mm-hmm.
And you are questioned based on all of these principles, and you're supposed to have examples to prove that you are able to perform based on that leadership principle.
Demonstrated, yeah.
Yeah, and demonstrate it, right? And yeah, as much as people might say that it's yeah, nasty, like you said, but I think it's also an opportunity for you to even learn about like yourself. I had to sit down to really think about my career and what I had done so far and how that fits into leadership principle. And I said to myself, even if I don't get through this loop, I've really learned about myself. I've really learned so much about like kind of how I've grown and the things that I'm doing, because sometimes we're so like busy working, we don't step back and kind of do an overview of our careers and our overview of like our tech journey. So I really actually enjoyed it. It obviously was like 5 hours long, or 4 hours long, sorry, but it was definitely worth it because I got through, which was yeah, again, yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Nice. And how was the onboarding? How you learned? Because obviously solution architect are expected to know a lot of things. Were you at par when you joined, or you had to struggle? The imposter syndrome, we call it.
Mm. One thing about AWS is that you have to be, so before you are employed onto AWS, you have to be performing at a very, you have to be, I've forgotten the percentage, but I think you have to be performing at a very, very high standard. You have to be better than people that are already
50% or
performing in that
yeah,
50%, I think,
exactly.
yeah, people in your level. So if you do get through, you need to be like, you should be proud of yourself. You shouldn't feel, because I had this feeling of, okay, I'm here now, and I just feel like I don't know as much as people that are here, and I'm probably gonna struggle. And the thing is, you might struggle because of what's going on in your head, because you're thinking, I'm not good enough. But the thing about this tech career and being at AWS is that experience really plays a huge role. For someone who's starting out new, as a like someone who's just starting out in their career, there's so much you need to learn. Like, you might know the practical or the technical bit, you might have the skills, but how to speak to customers, how to interact with them, how to problem solve efficiently, how to ask the right questions. These are things that you pick up through experience. And there is no compression algorithm for experience. I think it's a quote from Andy Jassy, and I think that is so true. So as much as you might have imposter syndrome, I think it's important to remember and to remind yourself that it's really all an experience. Allow yourself to grow, give yourself the time to grow, and you will see that it will pay off. You'll look back, um, from where you started, and be proud of yourself and realize that you should have probably not been as hard on yourself as you were. So yeah, I guess to kind of round that off with, I did have some imposter syndrome. I had great people in my team who really helped me to realize that everybody has this, and that you should feel the fear and do it anyway. So you might have a call with a customer, maybe like with the chief architect, and you have to explain a complex issue to them, and you might feel that they might suss you out, um, and that you might not be able to perform as well. Just do it anyway. Just do it anyway. You're there to support them. You're there to help your customer. Just focus on that rather than focusing on the little blunders you might make here and there. Because at the end of the day, you're providing value, and that's all that matters.
Makes sense. Completely makes sense. Now I have a question, like little on tangent. Any career setbacks? Like what happened and how did you overcome it? Like we always see that, hey, I was trying that, didn't work out, or maybe I was looking for joining a specific team or a promotion and didn't work out. How any stories like that?
Wow. I think, honestly, I think everybody has career setbacks. There's so many. that I could talk about. But I think for me, initially, like I said, I felt like I had a lot of career setbacks even before I joined AWS because, I just had a lot of things that hindered me into either getting a job or going into university. So already I just felt defeated and felt like, like I just felt like I just couldn't wait to actually get my big break and start working and start actually like, growing my career. And but I think the most recent setback for me um, would be I'm trying to think of a good one. Um, I think for me it would be my during my promotion. So I just recently got promoted, um, but I struggled a little bit because I felt like, again, it's the whole imposter syndrome thing where for me to be able to be promoted, I needed to do a lot of thought leadership. So like writing blogs or speaking and public speaking and talking about kind of giving customer technical advice and or like just talking about a technical like a service or something like that. But one of my biggest issues is talking in front of people. I had this I just it's like it was a big challenge for me, and just going out there and having my work critiqued or being standing in front of people and telling them about a new service or telling them how to design their architectures, it was just so too daunting for me. But it's a vital obviously it's a vital thing that I need in order for me to actually get promoted. So I think I had like a couple months before I had like a couple months before I could apply for my promotion, and I just had to get over it. Like I just it was a thing where it's like it literally is kind of do or die now. I can't I have to step out of my comfort zone and go out there and just find a thought leadership to do. So I thought to myself, okay, the opportunity to speak about data mesh came up, and I data mesh is something that I've been really really interested in um, for a while now. So I said to myself, okay, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna talk about it, and I did. And the first one was tough, but since then I've done so many more public speaking and blog writing that it just feels like second nature to me now. But yeah, that was something that almost took me like it was something that almost like didn't allow me to do my promotion, but thankfully I was able to like confront that and you know and do it, and now thankfully I got promoted, and yeah, I'm really really happy.
Nice,
That's
good.
it.
Congrats on your promotion. And yeah, people who do not know about promotions in Amazon, like it is little different than the real world. In some companies, based on your tenure, you automatically get promoted or you go from one level to another. AWS is not like that. You have to be very proactive and very vigilant about your promotion. Like you have to work towards your promotion. It's not like somebody would promote you directly. You have to work towards your promotion. So yeah, I agree on that. So yeah, if you have those blog posts, if it is in public domain or any other work, so feel free to share. I'll put them into resource section so others can also get benefited from it. So yeah, that makes
I
sense.
definitely will.
Now, I have like a advice now. I'm moving into the like some a later phase of the interview. So if anyone is starting their cloud journey, what would be your advice? Like some what you should be doing,
Yeah.
how to get started?
Um, I would say what I would say really is that you have to, I think there's a few things that you need to have, and that is the desire to learn. You should be a self learner. You should be motivated to want to learn. Um, that's something that is a core of being on this cloud journey. Because the thing about the cloud is that it's still evolving. There's many more things that you don't know now that is gonna come in the future. For example, like during reInvent, new services were launched, and as a someone who is in the cloud, who is a solutions architect, my job is to learn that for my customers. So you really, really have to have the desire to learn and to problem solve. I think that's where it starts first. Once you're able to get that secure, then you should start putting yourself out there, start building things, start, there's so many blogs out there teaching you how to build event-driven architectures, how to build modern data lakes or modern data pipelines and things like that. Start learning, start building, start putting it out there for people to see. Just show your interest to people, show your interest to employers via your LinkedIn or GitHub repository or anywhere, so that when people see your profile, they know that this person isn't just someone who just says they like to problem solve. This is somebody who actually can be of value to my organization and someone who I would love to be, to employ. So if you're starting your journey, definitely I think you should find avenues where you can learn. There's so many resources online. There is Free Code Camp that I used in the beginning, but now there is A Cloud Guru. There is so many. There's Udemy, which I still use till today. Learn about the fundamentals of the cloud, do some certs, and then get hands on. That is so important. You can do all the certs you want, but if you don't have any hands on experience, then you're really not going to be able to be as beneficial to customers or to people. So get hands on, share what you're doing on LinkedIn, and then grow your network. Some of you are already kind of doing a great job by joining lives like this, joining platforms like this, where you get to meet amazing people like James and Ashish and others that have come in previous sessions. Follow them on LinkedIn. Check on them. Make sure that follow on what they're sharing. If they share a new service, try it, learn about it, post something. And I think just, yeah, once you're able to get yourself out there, it just happens naturally. It's like magic. Try it and you see that, um, people are going to just be interested to know what you have to say. People are going to be
Yeah.
interested to learn about your own perspective on something. I think another thing I would say as well is go to hackathons. I really, in the beginning of my career, I relied on a lot of hackathons in London. You get to, like, you're in an environment where nobody knows about what the problem or the situation is or
Yeah.
what the problem is, and you're having to just learn, you're having to just build on the go. It's an amazing experience when you're able to solve an issue with other developers and other builders. And it's something that's also vital in your day job, because your job as a cloud someone in the cloud space is to solve problems. So I think if you're able to do all of that, I think, yeah, the sky really is your limit.
Yeah, so hackathons are really, really nice interaction. People who do not know, search for it. These hackathons happen in different cities and different places online too. So that is a good way to connect with like-minded people, actually work on solving some real-world problem and learn from it, and probably free. So that is much, much better option. Now I'm picking up a question from James here. Do you have any strategies for keeping learning? It's important stuff for essay, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So, we at AWS, we actually allocate time to learn. Even with aside from your day job, you're supposed to section out time where you're not there's no disturbance from anybody. You're just focusing on learning something new, and I really, really like, that's one of the things that I love so much about working here. Um, but in terms of strategy, I would say to find a like the most efficient way that you learn, your best way of learning. For me, best way I learn is just by, I actually really enjoy watching videos. So I just watch the videos, and I watch it in like 2x speed, and then that gives me enough time to watch and quickly like try learn it on the console. So find a good strategy that works. Some people, it's just like, some people, like, I know someone who actually prefers to read or to write down what they're learning, because it kind of like, they can picture it, they can
Stays in,
picture,
yeah.
yeah, it stays in their mind. So find a way to learn, find a good strategy that you think works for you, and then pick up that, let's say it's a new service, pick up that new service, read about the FAQs, read about just read about like kind of how it's built, how it's designed, and then learn it on the console. Like, try and build something on it and post it on GitHub or post it somewhere. And you start to, as you're learning the interest, like you start to build more of an interest to it, and you just keep getting drawn to it. And something that James said as well was to try and teach people. This is something that I actually struggled with before because I never found the opportunity. For me, I never found the opportunity to teach, and I also just again, it's the idea of talking to people about something. It's just too daunting. Was just too daunting for me. But I realized that, you know, I can talk to people in my house, even if they're not interested. I can talk to my brother, I can talk to my mum, and just say, "Do you know about this new service, Data Zone? It's amazing because it does this and that and this." Just talking about it. And even if it allows you to it allows you to make mistakes, but
Yeah.
when eventually you do have to go out there to talk to customers about it, you have learned enough to be confident and to share this new knowledge of your customers or to other people. So I would say find a strategy that works for you and learn things, build it, and speak to people, teach people about these new things that you've learned.
Nice. Yeah, I agree on that. So yeah, teach someone, and yeah, maybe then I also prefer like varied audience in the sense, like if I'm explaining it to a kid, then obviously it would be different, and that would also give me a perspective like, hey, how I could explain it in an easier way rather than all technical jargons on that. So yeah, makes sense. Completely makes sense. So thank you, and I would take a last question here, which is about any top three tips you could give to anyone for life or in general or technology. It doesn't have to be solution architecting, but how you could succeed in anything you want.
Wow. Okay, I think the first thing I would say is to be really, really, like really, really sure of what you want to be in your head. Like be as visual as possible. Like that person you want to be and that place you want to get to, you need to be able to like picture it so well. It needs to be clear as day. Because there are going to be days where you might be demotivated. There are going to be days where you don't feel like you don't feel like doing anything. But that picture is always going to be there,
Hmm.
and you might think you've forgotten about it. You've not forgotten about it. It's there, and it's going to lead you and guide you to where you need to be. When I said that I wanted to be a solutions architect, I gave myself 10 years. I didn't know how I achieved it, but it was later on that I thought about it and I realized that I had this picture of being like Ashish or the other essays that I had seen at AWS and thought I want to be like these people. Like I had the picture in my head walking into my job as a solutions architect talking to customers, and I felt like I thought I had forgotten it, but I think now that in hindsight I can see that that picture actually guided me into becoming who I have become. So just get really, really good at having that picture in your head of who you're supposed to be or who you want to be and let it guide you. Take steps that aligns you to that goal. And I think you should be like, if you're able to do that, the sky is the limit. And the second one I would say is to just love to learn, like allow yourself to learn, allow your brain to learn. Um, you might think, oh, I'm struggling with this. I've not quite grasped this new concept. Give it a break and come back and read it again. Keep doing it
Hmm.
over and over until you're able to understand it. Speak to people about it. Ask a technical person and say, "There's this new thing I've learned about data mesh and democratization, and I don't really quite understand it. What is your take on it?" And get them to explain it from their perspective. That again adds to your knowledge and helps you to understand that thing. So just get really, really good at learning, get really, really good at trying to learn and trying to problem solve. I think it helps in every part of life. So yeah, that's another tip I'll give. And then the third and final tip would be, it would be to just give yourself grace. Um, I think some of us has have an idea where we want to be in the next year, sometimes in the next couple years or in the next year, and it doesn't work out. Just give yourself grace to get there. Don't be in a rush. Just do all the things. Take all the steps you're supposed to take, read the books, do the certs, speak to people, grow your network, and if you're doing all these things right, you will get there. So yeah, that's it from me. That's all the tips I have, and I hope it's been helpful for some
Exactly. Yeah,
people.
it's really, really nice. Yeah. I like that idea of having a picture in mind and pursuing it. That was
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Yeah. So some of us are visual learners, so yeah, that could be a one interesting thought. So yeah, good food for thought, I would say, Victory. Thank you so much.
No
Yeah, means
worries.
it was so interesting to hear about it. And like last question from my side. What is your day job? What you do as I say? Sometimes it becomes like, hey, these are mysterious people. I don't know what they do. So a little bit on that, like what you do as a solution architect right now on day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so as a solutions architect, my job really is to be a trusted advisor for my customers. My job is to help them solve issues, help them build well architected architectures, help them to navigate their cloud journey in a cost optimized way, in a well architected way. I'm supposed to be I whenever I introduce myself to my customers, there's actually someone there's someone from my one of my colleagues told me this, and I use it now, and I say to my customers, you know, I am like the CTO for you from the AWS perspective.
Wow,
So
that's nice.
if you have any issues or any troubles, any problems with the architecture or with anything you're learning or everything you're trying to build in your organization, you should come to me. I will be the get. I have your best interest at heart. So, um, I guess when it comes to day to day, um, I have so for example on a Tuesday I have office hours with one of my customers, which is just where I come and share new services on AWS or to bring up a topic that they talked about a month ago and say, how is that going? How can I support you? Or maybe
Hmm.
they might have new they might have they might have a need to learn to do machine learning, and I could say to them, okay, why don't we do an immersion day? Immersion day is like a training, but we could say, why
Hmm.
don't we do an immersion day for your developers, or sorry, for your staff, your data science team, on how to use SageMaker, you know? And then they also use that opportunity to share their own issues that I could take away and get back to them on. So that's kind of my job. My job is really just to be there for my customers and make sure that they're running things well on AWS and that they feel supported, and yeah, and that's pretty much that. There's various other things we do, such as blog writing, thought leadership, um, and so on and so forth. But our main job is to be the CTO of like from the cloud perspective for our customers.
Makes sense. So interesting job, isn't it? Yeah, means the point I wanted to talk about that hey, we are not like doing a rocket scientist thing. It is a common thing. Only thing is like the focus is on a customer's interest and to
Mm-hmm.
help them in the best possible way. And so probably like a lot of people would be able to relate to like how things are and how things work. So yeah, really interesting to know about you and your journey. And thanks for your time. I think it was a very fruitful information for a lot of us, and we hope to have this kind of conversation maybe again into future. So thanks for that. And if you have any links or any resources you think could help us help our learners or any future solution architect, so please let us know and we can put it on a resource page so that everyone would get benefited from it.
I will do. I will post all the resources I have.
Nice, thank you. So thanks everyone. Thank you for joining. Thanks to Victory on behalf of you, all of you, and thanks James also. It was an interesting session on it. And Abhijit, I'm not sure if you are still here. Means he
I'm
was
here. I'm here.
on. Yeah, here. Good, thank you. So Abhijit been supporting us from long time, and yeah, he is there. We wanted to have a session from Abhijit also, so probably we'll have to hear from engagement management perspective also in next session. So we will figure out those things. But yeah, thanks everyone, and let us know how you liked it. Anything which we could do differently, anything we could invite more people or talk about any specific stuff. Let us know, and have a good weekend, everyone. Victory, thanks you. Thanks, James. Thanks, Abhijit. And
Thank
we'll see
you.
you in some other time. Thank you. Bye.
Bye all.